Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be setting up my journals and planners for November 2025. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, it is now almost November. We're getting so close to the end of the year and I'm ready to set up my journals and planners for November. We've only got 2 months left, so it's getting close to my 2026 lineup. I did share a video a little while ago about my initial thoughts and plans for 2026. I will share another video, and if you've missed that one, I will link it in the description box below. I will share another video with my 2026 lineup with more of like a setup as I get all of those journals. I have ordered everything except for one, and I'm still on the fence about it. And I'm just waiting for one to arrive. I have everything else already here and I'm starting to set them up a little bit. The only one I've really started so far is my 2026 craft planner. And I started kind of migrating some of the content from my 2025 craft planner into my 2026 one. I'm not going to share any of that on this video. I will share a video in the future focused specifically on my craft planner. But today I'm just going to be setting these ones up for November. But I just wanted to mention 2026 because if you're watching this video, you're probably thinking about your 2026 lineup, and thinking about my 2026 lineup is definitely influencing how I'm finishing out the year in these journals and planners. So for 2025, and right now, this has been most of the year, I have 5 journals or planners that I use consistently. I actually have a 6th one, which is my work planner, which I don't share on the internet at all. But besides that one, I have these 5. So I'll just go through them really quickly. The first one, this is a new addition because this one is going to be 2026 also. And this is my like Overflow. It's more like a bullet journal, I guess. And so I put 2025 here. I'll add 26. And then I have like a key in here. And this is just where I have like random notes and lists and all of that stuff. I have a lot of notes from reading the Book of Alchemy, which I'm currently working through. And so that kind of stuff is what goes in here. I was swatching all of my Tombow dual tip markers here. And so just various things end up in this journal. It's just kind of an overflow. I also have a few journals and planners that I'm not mentioning here, just in case you've watched other videos that are like ongoing ones that I don't add to regularly, but these are my regular ones. So this one, I don't add in it every day, but I add in here probably like 3 or 4 times a week. So then I have my daily journal, and this guy is getting chunky. This year I used the Cousin Avec. This is my 3rd year in a Hobonichi Cousin. The previous 2 years I used the standard Cousin, and last year it got way too chunky because I do a lot of like junk journaling, I guess, in here where I add in a bunch of stuff. Especially October has been a very chunky month because we traveled, and I just have been like adding a lot in here. So it's getting chunky. So I'm super happy to have 6 months in one book. I'm a little nervous because next year I have a full year book, but I don't have weeklies in it. So I'm hoping that that will balance it out a little bit. This guy's getting a little worn out here because I don't keep this in a cover, but it typically stays home except for when I travel, so it's not too beat up. I did just take it with me to Spain and Morocco. In this video, what I'm gonna do in here is set up for November. So what I do is my monthly vision board. So if you missed like October's monthly vision board, oops, pieces are sticking, is right here. And I do one per month, so I'm going to do November's in this video. The other thing I set up in here is my monthly. So for the monthly, here's how October's is coming out. I add a bunch of icons and doodles. So the only thing I really do to set it up is add the name of the month here, and I'll probably add a little bit of washi around the edge just to kind of get this one set up. I also have, like I mentioned, my craft planner. To set up my craft planner, what I've been doing is just doing my monthly craft goals and product tracking. The month of October is not entirely done, so I'm not going to be able to fully finish going through and like tallying everything here because I do still have I will probably craft some more tomorrow, and then all of next week is in October. even though it's the work week. So, but I do have the 31st off. So maybe I will pop back on at the end and share a little bit. I can't promise that. But you can check my Instagram to see how this one came out and what I really accomplished. But let me see. So I'm just looking at this. I didn't do that much crafting in October because I was traveling the first couple weeks of the month. So I really wanted to focus on setting up my 2026 planners. The only one, like I said, that I've started is my craft planner. So I need to focus on that maybe these last couple days in the month. I did do my projects for my creative teams. I can check that off. So my Cocoa Daisy is done. My Ferris wheel press I haven't done because the products haven't arrived. I haven't really done much setup for December daily because my products, again, have not yet arrived. I did want to do more work in my craft room and kind of organize and get it set up for a December daily, but I feel like I'm not just in the spirit yet until the products arrive, so that will probably be in the next few weeks. And then for Project Life, I do want to get a lot of my travel documented, but I haven't done that yet. It's always hard to get into that when I do travel in Project Life because I do have to edit those photos. And I have edited my photos for Barcelona, but not my other destinations. If you're new here, you don't follow me on Instagram, I recently went to Barcelona, Marrakesh, Casablanca, Madrid, and Segovia. So some of those are in Spain and some are in Morocco. So it was a pretty big trip. I have a lot of destinations and photos to edit. I'm happy to be home, but it was a lot of fun. So I will set up in here my November, which will go here. And then the other thing I do in this journal, which I haven't been doing a setup on here with you guys, is this is where I put all of my videos and everything that I share on social media. So this is like my craft social media accounts. I do it my Instagram and my YouTube. And so this is where I document them after they're scheduled and ready to go. I have a separate planner where I can like move things around as I'm planning it out. But I do like to put some stats and stuff on here. So I'm thinking, I don't know why I've never done these on these videos, but I think I'll set up November here for you guys. And then the last two are these two that go hand in hand. And these are my everyday, this is my everyday carry. So this is like quick notes. I don't do a ton of like decor in the daily page or the weekly spreads in here in my Hobonichi Weeks. This is more just keeping track of everything I need to keep track of to update my other journals and planners. And then the monthly portion comes along with me. And so it's all of my appointments and everything that's on my schedule. So I have this and I set this up about a month in advance. So on this video, I'm actually going to set this one up for December, which you can see I have a lot in here, but there's no stickers or anything yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that today. The same for this one. So this is my functional planner, and these two kind of work in conjunction because this one is the one that I carry with me when I leave the house. This one stays at home. So in my monthly spread, I have all of the same things on my monthly calendar. I can find my monthly calendar in here. So all of the same things are in here that are on here, but this one comes with me places and this one stays at home. Now, there are some things here that I didn't fill out because I didn't take this one with me on vacation because I wanted to like be planner free. But generally this one comes with me like to work and when I go shopping or whatever. So I need to finish, and this is like but in this one, I do track like tasks and that kind of stuff that's not in here. So in here, I need to finish setting up November. And then again, I will set up December, which isn't in here at all. This one, I do my future planning in advance. So I'll have like all of the months in here in case something gets scheduled a few months out. Because we're getting into closer to the new year, when I do my December plan with me, I'm going to have to think about whether or not I'm going to do anything in my January. Probably not. I'll probably save that for a January plan with me, but we'll see. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and set these ones up with the Decembers and then finish the November and figure out everything I need to do. So I know that was probably a pretty long introduction. I think I'm going to start with these ones and then I'll move on to these other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on voiceover as I get these ones put together. I will do a combination of voiceover and music, just depending on what makes sense. Okay, so I'm starting with my Take a Note, and you'll see I kind of flip back and forth between the Hobonichi Weeks and the Take a Note in my setup here. I also flip back and forth between November and December. So as I said in the introduction, or if you've watched some of these other videos, I tend to set up 2 months at once because I do a little bit of the upcoming month and a little bit of the month that's 1 month out, because I do like to have that space available for future planning. As we're coming to the end of the year, I'm going to kind of reconsider how I do that just for the switch into January, because in my December plan with me, I don't think I want to set up some of my January spreads. I think I want to save those for my 2026 planner lineup. So stay tuned for how I will do it in December. But for now, I'm setting up the basics of my December spread and also filling in my November spread. To write in the titles, I'm using a Sailor Shikiori marker. These are kind of my new favorite go-to markers for in my journals and planners. I still love the mild liners and the Writex sign brush pens, but I also just really love how juicy and smooth these are, and they kind of have just a good flow. When you see them written, you kind of get a little bit of variation in the color. It almost looks like it's watercolored, which is just so gorgeous. Plus the color selection is great. They don't have a full rainbow right now, but they do have just nice colors. What I don't like about these titles in this planner, which has been an issue all year with these longer month names, is they don't fit on just the left-hand side, and I just don't like how it goes across the gap. So I'm thinking about changing up how I do this in 2026. So if you haven't watched my 2026 lineup video yet, or my initial lineup, my full lineup's not out yet if you're watching this in real time, I am going to do the Take a Note again in 2026. So I'm going to do something very similar for my setup. I'm also going to be purchasing the same Hobonichi Cousin kits from the Coffee Monster Co. and using those just kind of similarly to how I'm using them this year, but I am rethinking how I'm going to put the name of the month at the top. I'm thinking maybe I will stamp it so that will fit in that little space, or maybe I'll put it on the right hand side. I'm not sure yet. I'll think about that as I get to my January setup. To do the headers here for the days of the week, I do use the ones from the Hobonichi Cousin kit, which are a little too wide for the Take a Note. Although both of these are A5 journals, the Take a Note has a little bit of a smaller calendar because you can see there's so much space around the calendar on the left and the right side, as well as the top and the bottom. That is just not there in the Hobonichi Cousin. That is one of the things I love about this planner, is there is a lot of space to put task lists and things all around the edge. But because of that, you do have smaller squares. So what I do is I just use my paper trimmer to crop those days of the week headers down to 1 inch across, and they fit with just a little gap in between them. And I kind of like the way that that looks, so they're not overlapping and creating extra bulk. For the left-hand column there, I added one of the labels. I will fill that in when I set up my December video, because that is where I will put my task list for the month, and I don't yet know what that task list is going to include. I have some ideas, but I like to do it as I'm going into the month. I put the washi strips along the bottom there, and then I'm selecting some mild liner colors that I think go with this kit and this collection for December. I always pick two. One is a neutral color, so I selected the gray mild liner, and this is for my work schedule. So I always put this in the very bottom box. If you don't know, I work full-time. I am a tax attorney, and so that is Monday through Friday. And so I just kind of assume I am at work every day unless I mark otherwise. So I will put a gray line in that bottom box there if I'm not working. So you can see there are 4 days during the month of December that I am not working. For the other color there, that is for travel. So I will use a different color, and I do it in the second box up. So you can see that bottom box is not filled in, because that will be about my work location. So I am working those days, but I am traveling. And the reason for that is I'm traveling for work. So I will put that line in there for travel, and after the ink dries, I will fill in kind of where I'm going, which is Brooklyn. That is typically where I go for work travel. And I'm adding in the holidays here. I did get the regular holidays. They are slightly too big for the Take a Note because, like I said before, they're kind of, I think they're made for the Hobonichi Cousin, but they just stick over the edge a little bit, and that doesn't really bother me. I'm starting to fill in my work schedule here, which again goes on that very bottom row of each box. So I'm just writing a little TC for the days that I'm working from home for telecommuting, which is usually every Monday and Thursday, but a lot of times that does get switched up, and it is definitely getting switched up in December because I have some work obligations and there's holidays and things that are going to be throwing off that routine. So it's nice to have that written in here. So essentially for me, I just assume that if that bottom row is not filled in, that means I am working in the office if it is a weekday. I'm now filling in my other meetings and appointments. I'm using my Hobonichi Weeks off screen there to kind of reference what I have scheduled in the month of December. Like I said, that Hobonichi Weeks, I update the entire year at once. And I do it just kind of as I go, as I schedule things, I'm filling in those boxes. I already have a list set up for my 2026 one. I am not using Hobonichi Weeks again. Instead, I am using one from Sweet Freckle Design. She changed her name. I can't remember what it is now because it says Sweet Freckle Design on the actual planner, but it is similar to a Hobonichi Weeks. It just is undated and the paper is whiter, which I really like, and there's not those quotes. But you'll see more about that in my 2026 lineup video. And I'll link in the description box below if it is still available. Now I'm moving on to filling in this right-hand column. What I put there is what kit I'm using for my project life. So I'm referencing my craft planner here because this is where I tend to select what kit I'm doing and what dates I'm doing. So I typically do project life Monday through Sunday on weekly spreads. So typically that would follow the weeks that are in the calendar, but sometimes I adjust that based on holidays or travel. So I am adjusting it a little bit in December because I want to end on the 31st, and the 31st is a Wednesday. And so I don't really want a spread that's just Monday through Wednesday for that final week. So instead I'm going to combine it through the 26th. And so I'm kind of just shifting stuff around to get all of December in 4 weeks rather than 5, which is perfectly fine because I am also doing December daily, so I don't need extra spreads in the month of December. Now I'm going back to my November calendar and I'm going to fill in here some additional details. Right now I'm fixing some dates. The December daily prep party was moved, so I am changing that on here. I did have a little emoji sticker there and I was able to peel it up and put it where it needs to go. I'm also adding in some additional meetings and appointments that I have scheduled. Some of these things are newer that just weren't there when I set up November at the beginning of the month. I try to update these in my Take a Note pretty regularly. Essentially what my plan is that I carry my Hobonichi Weeks with me everywhere I go, including to work, and I fill it in whenever something new gets scheduled. And then whenever I'm back at my desk at home, my plan is to fill in my Hobonichi or my Take a Note, but I don't always do it every day. So I always look at my Hobonichi Weeks when I'm scheduling something new to see if I'm available. And my Take a Note is more for like time management and that type of thing because I keep my task list and everything like that in there. I'm adding the little dollar signs for my paydays because that helps me know kind of when to pay bills and that type of thing, and just keep track of that. I have 3 paydays in December, which is always nice because of Christmas. And I'm just gonna go ahead and finish setting up, adding stickers and everything there. I needed an extra $1 for that in my Hobonichi Weeks because the kits only have $2. And the months that I had 3 paydays, I need to find one. So that's what I was doing there. And again, I'm just back looking at the November, filling everything in, seeing what else I need to add in. There are a few things I needed to remove because they had been changed. I think even looking at this now, there's one thing that's been canceled that I need to go in and change, which I will do when I'm done recording this voiceover. I'm also adding in some emojis and stuff just to make it a little more fun. I think I kind of go back and forth about whether or not I want stickers and everything on my monthly spreads for my functional planning. My primary goal is that this will be functional. I also am inspired by a lot of creators, and some of them use a lot of stickers, like Helen from the Coffee Monster Co. Obviously she uses stickers because she creates the stickers, and it always looks so cute on her spread. But then I see someone like Lindsay Scribbles that doesn't add very many stickers at all, and I love her spreads as well. So I definitely go back and forth about whether or not I want a lot of stickers in my spread. So you'll see some months that have more added and some months that have less. I am kind of in the adding more phase right now, which is kind of good, I guess, because it's coming up to the time to order my kits from the Coffee Monster Co. for 2026. In fact, I will have already ordered them by the time that you see this video. And I'm planning on ordering pretty much all the same things that I ordered last year. So I'll have the Weeks kits and the Cousin kits, and I'll be using them in a very similar way in my 2026 lineup. Here I'm filling in my task list. So I'm just kind of copying everything over from October. This is the top list here is my main routine cleaning. And what I add is a bullet point using my Zig dot marker. And if I complete a task, I write in the date on that dot marker so I know when the last time was I did something. I do not intend or really expect to do all of these things in a month. These are the things I would like to do every month, but realistically, they don't all happen. And some of them really don't have to happen, like deep cleaning the bathroom, deep cleaning the stove. That doesn't need to be every month. Like, obviously that would be ideal. But I do try to keep track of kind of when was the last time I did these things so that I can see, what to prioritize when I have some time available to clean. I added another label here and I'm creating a second list. This is my deep clean list. So these are things that are coming from my, I guess it's called the Calendex, or my annual trackers at the front, which I had kind of scheduled what tasks I wanted to do in which month. And these are things you want to do like once a year. Some of them are deep cleaning. Some things are things that maybe aren't once a year, but less than once a month, like maybe once a quarter or once every 6 months. And so I wrote those ones in, and some are seasonal, like putting up the Christmas decor. And so I put those on that list. Sometimes I will add a list of other tasks that I need to do that aren't cleaning related, but I had a lot of cleaning to write down here, so it was pretty full, so I didn't leave any space for that. That first week of November, there was pretty blank because the month starts on this Saturday. So I added one of the label stickers from the Hobonichi Weeks kit. I know those are for the bottom of the week of the monthly spreads in the Hobonichi Weeks to cover up the quote portion. But I don't really use the weeks in as decorative of a function, so I wanted to put it here. I've added it in some of my previous months. I used one in October, and it's a place for me to add some notes to myself about things I need to remember to do. There was nothing really at this point I needed to add, so I left it blank, but it's there for me during the month. I'm adding some washi tape to my December spread in my Hobonichi Weeks. See, this is, I guess there isn't a quote there. That's that little section with those bullet points, and that's where that label is intended to go. But instead, I just decorate that because I don't really put task lists in my monthlies in my Hobonichi Weeks. Okay, so you guys, I apologize. My audio was not recording well for that last segment, but I think you can hear me, so I don't want to re-record it. I also felt like I liked what I said, so I wanted to just move on. So now I'm moving on to my monthly vision board in my Hobonichi Cousin. So my Take a Note and my Hobonichi Weeks are all set up. Those are the ones that usually are the quickest. And then my Hobonichi Cousin usually takes the longest to set up because I am doing my monthly vision board. For this period of working on this, I really just kind of relax. I put on a show. Right now I'm rewatching Gilmore Girls for like the millionth time. And so it's a nice show to kind of have on in the background while I'm crafting and cutting things out. I'm flipping through some magazines, and my plan for this is pretty much to cut out words and phrases and images that I might want to use. So I have that little tray there at the top of my screen on the top of my desk, and that is including some cutouts from magazines that I want to use in my daily pages. I'm trying to prompt myself to use these a little bit more. I love using magazine cutouts, but it's so hard to remember what I have cut out and make it work with the stories I want to tell in my journal. So I'm really working on that, and having that tray out on my desk I think is helpful. So I'm putting some things in there right now that are things that I want to include in my daily spreads. So when I cut them out and I put them in that tray, it's not for my vision board. I'm also cutting some images out. You see me putting those in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Again, not for my vision board, but just things that I might want to have for in my journal. I also cut out smaller icons like this cheese. Those are often for my monthly spreads. I think I actually ended up using that in a weekly spread, but I like to have some smaller images that I can use in collaging as well. For my vision board, I have that pile of words in the top right corner of the screen. So essentially, I'm looking for words and phrases that are really the mood or the theme that I want for the month of November. So I'm thinking about the types of things that I want to work on, the types of how I want to feel in November, what I want to focus on, and I'm trying to find words and phrases that fit that theme. So here you can see me cutting out the word fall because it is a fall and I really want to enjoy that season. So I'm doing things like that when cutting out words. I'm not necessarily going to use all of these on my vision board, but I like to get some new ones. And then what I'm going to do once I'm done flipping through magazines is go into my stash of phrases that I have cut out from magazines and see what else I have that I might want to include. And then I will pull from that pile to create my vision board. And anything that's left over in the end will go back into my organization. I do have a video sharing how I organize all of my magazine clippings. So if you are interested in seeing that, I will leave a link for that in the description box below. Okay, so I'm wrapping up flipping through magazines, and I tend to just decide I'm done whenever I feel like it. Sometimes I flip through more magazines than others, but it's really just, how am I feeling? Do I want to move on to working on the vision board? Do I have enough? I'm doing, I think, this last magazine, and I can kind of tell I'm done because I'm flipping through it a lot without cutting things out because I don't know, I just don't feel like it unless I see something absolutely perfect. And so I will put those magazines back into my stack to flip through in the future. I will usually flip through the same magazine a couple of times before I decide to recycle it because sometimes I'm just not thinking of certain things or I don't see certain things. Like today, I wasn't really looking for alphas, but I do like to cut out alphas to add to my title stash. I also pull out full page images that would make good backgrounds for my vision boards. For my background, I like to use an image that is seasonal or just a color scheme or some sort of mood that relates to the month. I do have a lot of seasonal images that I've pulled out, and you're going to see pretty soon when I'm done flipping through the magazines that I do select one that is very fall themed that I had actually kind of picked in advance for during the month of October, knowing I was going to do it for November. So typically I do flip through that stack of all of those full page images to select my image for the month. But for this one, like I said, I had one that I had gotten from a Magnolia magazine that I definitely just wanted to use for the month of November. It's that image there, right there. It's a drawn image. I think it's of, I can't remember her name, Joanna Gaines. In like a fall kitchen baking, and I just loved this image. I almost feel like it would be better for December in terms of the baking and everything, but the fall leaves outside make it super fall. So that's why I wanted to use it for November. I really loved this image, but because October was a travel month and not really an at-home month, this just fit for November. So what I did was I cropped it down to fit on the page, and I want to make sure it's slightly smaller than the page so it doesn't go all the way to the edges. And then I add a piece of washi tape there along the edge, and I'm just trimming it so that it's right flush with the edge of the page. And that's just to help it turn, so you can turn the page smoothly without it really sticking. Sometimes if you adhere something to your page too close to the spine, when you turn the page, it will kind of fold up and you'll end up with a lot of bulk and bent images. So that's why I add that washi. I'm going through my Alpha organizer now, and if you are interested in my Alpha organizer, the one I purchased in person a long time ago, I think from Walmart, but I have some links for some that are similar on Amazon, or if you want to find your own, you just obviously need one that has more than 26 slots in it for all of the letters of the alphabet. And you also just want to make sure it doesn't have removable dividers. A lot of these organizers have dividers that are adjustable. And if you use one that has that, magazine clippings are very, very thin, and they usually can slide under those dividers and they will not stay in their separate compartments. You need one where the dividers are adhered in place. I'm pulling out letters to write the word November twice. One is going to go here on my vision board, and one is going to go on my monthly calendar page. I tried to select letters that fit the color scheme that I'm going for this month. So you can see I don't have any like bright colors. They're all kind of muted, darker fall colors, but still a mixture of alpha styles and colors. And then I'm moving to my monthly spread. So for my monthly spread, I add the month also with cut out magazine clippings just to kind of have some uniformity across my album or my journal. And I don't know if I'm going to continue that in the same way next year. For 2026, I am not using a Hobonichi Cousin, but I am using a daily journal that does have monthly and daily spreads. So I am going to do something very similar. I do intend to do my monthly vision boards still. I think I'm going to make them 2-page vision boards though, based on the layout in that album or journal. I don't know why I keep calling it an album, but we'll see. I will share more about that in my 2026 lineup video. And then, of course, my January plan with me will have my January vision board. And as always, I intend to have that available for you guys on the 1st of the month. So if you want to make your January vision board with me on January 1st, that is definitely the plan for that video to be available. I'm going through and just adding some words on here in a stacked format, and I'm pulling words that I just feel kind of fit the mood of what I want in November. Like I said, I traveled in October, so I really want to stay at home in November. I want to spend a lot of time relaxing. I want to celebrate the holidays, get ready for the Christmas season. I already have some thoughts in my mind about things I want to do for the holidays this year. My daughter is older and doesn't live at home, and we're not huge on like holiday stuff. We don't have like a big family or anything. So it's really more just like the small moments for me and the small and like little decor and kind of making my own magic. So that's really what is reflected in my December daily album as well. And I'm really going to focus a lot on that this year. I pulled over some word phrase stickers from my stash in this like craft color to add a few more words on here and just kind of have something a little bit repeated across the spread. And that is going to end that one. Now I'm going to move on to my craft planner. Okay, so I finished setting up November in here and I wanted to just kind of talk you through it a little bit. So I did my setup of my calendar, which I normally don't film this. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I have no idea why I don't film this portion because this is part of my monthly setup. And basically what I do is I put in here what I have posted once I've scheduled it to post. So I typically schedule my Instagram and YouTube videos a few days in advance, and that's how I kind of stay on track, especially during the work week, because I can schedule everything on the weekends before the week begins. And then I just have a little bit of details here for some of my stats. I haven't filled in my October yet because I will fill that in at the end of the month. I don't pay too much attention to it, but I like to see kind of what videos and posts were more successful than others because that will help kind of guide what content I'm going to create in the future. So that's it for this one. And I use the stamp set from the Coffee Monster Co. This is such a cute stamp set. It's my new favorite alpha. I'm going to use it all the time now. But I used it to put my title in there rather than writing it out myself, which I kind of like how that came out. For my projects and product tracking this month, unfortunately, I can't share really what I completed in October because I do still have a few days left of October, and I hopefully am going to complete a little bit more. I didn't get as much done this month as I had hoped. A lot of that is because products didn't arrive. I don't have my December daily products yet. And I don't have my October Ferris wheel pressed inks yet. All of the tariff situation and everything has really delayed so many products, but that's okay. I'm going to work on some of the other things as I wait for that, and then I'll be able to work on those when they arrive. I am starting to set up my planners for 2026. I don't have a ton to do for my journal and my everyday carry, just a little bit. My craft planner, I do have a lot of stuff I want to migrate from here. I will share more about that in my 2026 lineup setup video, which will hopefully come in the end of November, really depending on when my Take a Note arrives. I pre-ordered that from Yoseka Stationery just because I didn't want to worry about any of the tariff situation. I know they said that they would cover it and it was all included in the price, but it just felt a little bit safer to order it directly from a New York source where I know that they will have already paid the tariffs when they arrive at Yoseka, and I could order a few other things and get free shipping. So I did that, but it says it's not shipping till mid-November. They aren't too far away from me, so I'm hoping once it ships, I'll get it pretty soon, but we'll see what the timing is on that one. As far as other projects, I didn't do a ton this month because I have been so busy, but I also, I was traveling and everything, but I also feel like I need to do a little bit of updating on this spread, but that's just how things went so far. And then for in November, I have a lot more Project Life I want to catch up on. Essentially just kind of get caught up on Project Life as much as possible. I did only go through the middle or first weeks of November, but if I get into another one, that's great. This is a lot to catch up on. When I travel, I break my weeks up into do like more spreads than one per week. So I have more to do there. I have all of my creative team content. And then one of my main priorities in November is to get December Daily all set up and ready to go. I hope to have my December Daily setup video for you guys sometime in the middle of November. We'll see though, depending on when those products arrive, when I can actually get that all taken care of. Again, I'm going to focus on setting up my journals and planners for 2026 and just working on other projects. So here's my tracking and everything. I decided to not do the stamping this month. I wanted to just go simple with a pen, and I'm excited to see what I can make in November. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye.